Welcome back to Talk Show, where we trim the hedges that nobody planted. I'm your host, the lightly microwaved Green Lantern, aka Tino. It is Sunday, May 10th, day 71 of Trump's war, let's not forget. On this past Thursday, the US and Iran traded fire in the Strait of Hormuz, which we're hearing about a lot lately. Trump just called it a love tap and insisted that the ceasefire was still in effect, all the while bombing the shit out of each other. Meanwhile, the clown show continues to enrich themselves with taxpayer money, kind of like this. Yeah, see this? Yeah, that's us being downtrodden, and that's the clown show with the taxpayer money. This has that sort of spooky killer clowns from outer space look, if you've noticed. Let's rustle these jimmies. In our first story, let's talk about bombing Iran and calling it a love tap. Thursday, May 8th, 3 U.S. Navy destroyers transited through the Strait of Hormuz. Iran fired missiles, there were drones, there were small boats used, that word in particular. The U.S. responded with strikes on 3 different Iranian ports, Bandar Abbas, Qeshm, and Bandar Kargan. I hope I'm saying those right. Trump then says to the ABC News, it was just a love tap. Then he was asked if the ceasefire was over. No, the ceasefire is still going. It's in effect. Let me translate that for you. We're actively bombing each other, but apparently the ceasefire is just fine. CENTCOM reports U.S. forces intercepted unprovoked Iranian attacks and responded with self-defense strikes. Iran says the U.S. violated the ceasefire by striking our ports first. Both sides claim the other shot first. Then Trump hits Truth Social, like the addict that he is, and says we completely destroyed the Iranians involved. Small boats and drones dropped ever so beautifully down to the ocean, very much like a butterfly dropping to its grave. Interestingly enough, I tried to get the AI to make an image of a butterfly dropping to its grave, but I kept getting rejected. It kept saying you can't do this because of some sort of third-party content violation. So I can only imagine that Trump has already trademarked the phrase butterfly dropping to its grave. Fucking great. Anyway, after that, he then said, just like we knocked them out again today, we'll knock them out a lot harder if they don't get their deal signed fast. Friendly reminder of the ceasefire timeline. April 8th announced that there were maybe 2 weeks left. Then April 22nd, about 2 weeks later, Trump then unilaterally extends the war with no expiration date. May 8th, active combat is still happening in Hormuz, but Trump is saying the ceasefire is in effect. So basically, words don't mean anything anymore. In our second story, Project Freedom is paused, which means oil starts to drop. This is a little bit earlier in the week. On Wednesday, May 6th, Trump announced a pause in Project Freedom, which is the military operation to clear the Strait of Hormuz. Project Freedom is the thin veil that they're using to disguise their war, calling it a military operation. But it's all part of a war, okay? Like, none of us are stupid. Now, the reason is that great progress was made toward a complete and final agreement in the representatives of Iran. I should say that one like this, because that was Trump talking. Oil prices then dropped below $100 a barrel for the first time in weeks, and, to no one's surprise, markets rallied. On Thursday, 24 hours later, active combat resumes and oil bops right back up to where it was. What Project Freedom was? Supposedly a U.S. mission to force vessels through Hormuz using military escorts. Supposedly. Launched days earlier, then halted after 1 day. Combat Thursday, suggesting that it was resumed. Trump on Wednesday says, the peace deal is close. Trump on Thursday says, love tap. In the meanwhile, the markets are screaming in confusion. And you just know they're making Polymarket and Kalshi bets on this shit. Vance already admitted it. I don't know how you can still support these corrupt fartbags, for God's sake. In our third story, China calls for a comprehensive ceasefire. On Wednesday, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi met with the Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. Hopefully I'm saying these names right. They met in Beijing. Wang Yi says the international community shares a common concern for restoring normal passage through the strait. China hopes parties will respond quickly. The context here is Trump is visiting China this coming week for a high-stakes summit with Xi Jinping. China is positioning itself as the peacemaker while Trump is bombing everybody and calling them love taps. China is absolutely loving the mockery that we're making of ourselves with the mango maroon at the helm. You find yourselves fresh out of U.S. aid? Try some China aid. A little bit cheaper ingredients, but still gets that job done. Meanwhile, France deployed aircraft carrier Charles de Gaulle to the region. 40 plus nations are involved in this multinational initiative to restore Hormuz navigation. Trump alone thinks it's going great. Come on down to world news in a minute. Iran war, day 71. We talked about these things. Active combat Thursday. Trump says love tap. Project Freedom paused, but resumed Thursday. Oil below $100 briefly, but then right back up after the combat. The death toll still climbs. 3,000 plus Iranians, 2,200 plus Lebanese, 23 Israelis, now 13 or more Americans. In the Russia-Ukraine conflict, Trump apparently announced a 3-day ceasefire for Victory Day. I don't know why he's announcing this, but that's kind of good news. In celebration of Mother's Day, Trump hosted Angel Moms and Gold Star Mothers at the White House. That happened this past Friday. Really trying to push for those trad wives. Fight it, ladies. Markets rallied on Wednesday with peace, potentially on the horizon, but then dropped back down on Thursday when combat became a reality. Lastly, and infuriatingly, the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool is going to get a facelift, we think. Trump visited Friday and then discussed destroyers ramming through some pretty big stuff. One thing I want to call out is anytime Trump has an opportunity to do construction, so this reflecting pool is 1,000% going to be another way for him to siphon money into his own pockets through American taxpayer dollars. And that's your world still burning. Let's talk about our main story tonight, folks. Where is our money going? I would sure like to know. We're on day 71 of this war. Gas is now at $4.30 a gallon, incredibly spicy. But somewhere through all of this, your taxes are exactly the same or more than last year. Government spending has been massively cut. So where's that money going? We also have to overlay the Trump family wealth since taking office. In January of 2025, the estimated wealth there, I think on the Forbes list, was published at $3.9 billion. In May of this year, he's now at $6.5 billion. In total, while being president, he's nearly tripled his net worth. How? How, you might ask? $3 billion in crypto from various sources like meme coins, World Liberty Financial, and then stablecoin USD1, which that's a whole nother story. $470 million from dismissed fraud judgment. That's ridiculous to hear. $410 million from licensing deals like Bibles, guitars, watches, sneakers, fragrances, smartphones. That list continues to grow. Economist Steve Ratner has called this the most brazenly self-enriching administration in American history. And there were some bad ones in the past, just FYI, look up corrupt American officials. Holy shit. His sons, meanwhile, have made ludicrous amounts of money. So the Trump family announced a $7 billion Saudi Arabia real estate deal back in January of 2026. And the UAE invested nearly $500 million in the World Liberty Financial crypto just before inauguration. Kushner raised billions from Middle East investors through affinity partners. Now, all the while, Trump says, I have nothing to do with the family business. The conflict here, if it's not obvious, Trump's crypto wealth is $3+ billion. And Trump's administration passed the Genius Act in July of 2025, which was the first major crypto regulation law. So put it together here, folks. He regulates the industry, making him billions of dollars. And it's not just Trump, it's the whole dang administration. Commerce Secretary Lutnick is worth $7.2 billion. Deputy Defense Secretary Stephen Feinberg is worth $5 billion smackers. Middle East Envoy Steve Witkoff, a whopping $2.3 billion American big bucks. The combined billionaire cabinet net worth of this administration is over $30 billion. And again, I have to ask where our tax money went. Then you think about some of the scandals that happened. Let's talk about Kristi Noem for just a brief moment. Remember, Department of Homeland Security Secretary? She was fired. There was a $220 million taxpayer-funded ad campaign. That bypassed competitive bidding due to a claimed national emergency. Then they secretly funneled money to the Strategy Group, which is a Republican consulting firm with ties to Kristi Noem. One company in the ad campaign was incorporated 1 week before getting a $143 million contract. We're paying more. They're getting richer. Think about gas. Before the war, we were at $3.50, still terrible, but now we're at $4.30. Groceries are up several percentages every year. Energy, like utilities, oh my God, gas is up 10%, electricity is up 7%, depending on where you live. I'm in Connecticut, it's even higher. Insurance, stubbornly elevated. Your taxes are the same. Government spending is cut. Trump's wealth up $2.6 billion since January. The math ain't mathin' here, folks. Day 71 of the nonsense we're calling the Trump war. Trump called the bombing of Iran a little love tap. Insisted the ceasefire was in effect while actively trading fire. The markets rallied on peace rumors, crashed again when combat picked up. Trump's wealth has gained $3 billion, nearly tripled in 16 months, some ridiculous number. Gas is up, groceries are up, energy is up, insurance is up. Your taxes, the same. Government spending, cut. Where'd that money go? You know where that money went. If you learned something, I'm sorry. If you didn't, congrats, you're coping correctly. I'm Tino. This was Talk Show. We'll see you next week.